Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and today I'm going to talk to you about drug charges. What do you need to know? Well, every drug, right, other than marijuana, if you're in possession of it, whether it's an illicit substance, meaning something like ecstasy or Molly or bath salts, any of these other things that are not prescription drugs, it's automatically at least a third-degree felony, punishable by up to 5 years Florida State Prison. What else do you need to know? Every prescription drug that you're in possession of without a prescription, without proof of a prescription, and you encounter police, you're going to be charged with at least a third-degree felony, punishable by up to 5 years. So, how does the process work? Well, when you're charged with a drug crime, you do have options. First option you're always looking for is whether or not you're eligible for a diversion program. Some sort of program that they have in that particular area. For instance, in Palm Beach County, they have drug court. And you would enter into a drug court program for a year where you'd start being monitored 3 times weekly, where you'd have meetings like NA meetings and group meetings, and you would be drug tested. That goes on for a period of a year. If everything goes well, every phase, they divide it into phases. They have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. If you complete each phase, and when I say phase 1, you're going 3 times a week. Phase 2, you're going 2, then 1. So it reduces down. As long as you complete and you stay clean, at the end of 1 year, you can have your charges dismissed. Pretty good program. It's supposed to help you with your addiction. So that's the first option you're looking for in a drug case. Second option, you may not be eligible for drug court because you may have prior convictions, you may have prior charges. So now you're going to look for your 4th Amendment, your 5th Amendment, and your 14th Amendment. So when you hear people say, he violated my rights, well, this is what they're talking about. How did the officer stop your vehicle? How did the officer stop you? Right? So the stop, the search, the seizure, when he stops you, he seizes you. Then he searches you. Well, if you say, hey officer, I don't have anything to hide, and you got 2 baggies in the back of your car, well, you're going to have a big problem. So you're looking at those, looking at potential motions to suppress, 4th, 5th, 14th Amendments, and there's also other issues that possibly come up, but you're looking for defenses in the case. The most important thing to know, though, is that when you have a drug charge, if you don't do a diversionary program such as drug court, more than likely, if you don't find, well, guaranteed, if you don't find a technical argument to get the case dismissed, a part of the evidence suppressed or the evidence dismissed, then you're looking at least probation, but possibly incarceration. And all that depends on several factors. What your criminal history is, who your prosecutor is, who your judge is, and who your defense attorney is. All of these variables play into what's going to happen on your drug case. So when hiring someone to represent you, whether it be prescription drugs, right? If you're in possession of oxycodone or Valium or Xanax or alprazolam, if you're in possession of any of those things without a prescription, you're going to need an attorney. If you're in possession of something else like cocaine or heroin or Molly or bath salts or Flocka, all of those things are considered illicit substances, and you're going to need a defense attorney. You want to do everything you can to avoid a conviction because you don't want to become a convicted felon. As I said, pretty much everything except misdemeanor marijuana is a misdemeanor, and that's only for under 20 grams. Over 20 grams, it's a felony. So pretty much possession of any drug is going to be a felony, again, except for misdemeanor marijuana under 20 grams. The other charge related to drugs that's extremely common is drug paraphernalia. Whatever you're using to hold it, or using a bong, B-O-N-G. No bombs, folks. We're not talking about bomb pranks today. Bong. If you have rolling papers, if you have syringes, if you have aluminum foil, there's all kinds of things that can be used, baggies, a scale. These are normally things that are charged under the Florida statute for drug paraphernalia. Usually that charge is a misdemeanor charge. So you need to keep that in mind as well. And also, something that I see that happens a lot in Palm Beach, and I strongly urge you to talk to your attorney about, if it's not me, is don't accept a withhold of adjudication on your possession of cocaine and then accept a adjudication on drug paraphernalia. I don't understand, Mr. Foley. What are you talking about? A withhold of adjudication. Basically, you're not convicted, right? You're not becoming a convicted felon. You are pleading guilty, and on the Florida score sheet, it does count as a conviction. For immigration purposes, it does count as a conviction, but generally speaking, you're not a convicted felon. So that's an important thing. Well, if you are adjudicated, meaning found guilty, accept a guilty plea on drug paraphernalia, then you have no option of sealing your record and then later expunging your record. Obviously, you know how important it is that people don't see your possession of cocaine. So if you get a withhold and a year of probation, and then you go to, and also you get an adjudication on your drug paraphernalia, well, a year after your probation's over, and you say, hey, I'd like to get this sealed and expunged, you can't. So it's very important that you talk to your attorney about that. I see that prosecutors 99 out of 100 times will offer me a withhold of adjudication, some sort of probation, but on the second charge they want to adjudicate. I'm not ready to accept that, and I will battle for my clients to make sure that if they're going to take a plea, that they're getting a withhold on both. Otherwise, they can't seal, and having that record can obviously affect future employment. It can affect where you live. It can affect so many different things, folks. But most important is that record will stay there forever. So I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, talking to you today about drug charges. If you have any questions, if you're charged, give me a call. But keep this in mind, even if I'm not your attorney. Bye-bye.